Okay, we're now recording. All right, so to begin this process, you can navigate out to the NICAR website. The address is ark.org/criminal. And from here, this will load the homepage where a couple of things happen. One, if you have an account already, you can log in right here. This will actually take you into the portal that will allow you to see your background check results, or statuses rather. We'll get to that in a minute. First, we're going to go to the subscribe online, and by clicking this link, it's going to take you over to this page where you start getting some information about the cost of this. You can sign into the actual subscriber account, which is where you go to see your invoices and also manage any users up to 10, which is a part of the original $150 fee. You get up to 10 people who can log into that one account. If you need to more than 10, it's $150 per 10 after that. So if you have an account, you can log in from here. If you don't, you can click on the create account button. And this will take you to a form that, requires some demographic information on your business. INA has provided a document here that basically a step-by-step process for setting up your subscriber account. And we can provide this documentation after the meeting. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. So I won't go through this whole document, but basically you're gonna provide some generic demographic information, as I said, as well as some customer information, which is going to include things like what you want access to, and also you'll also have to put in some of your users to get started, so people have access to the system. All right. So from there, once you have an account, again, you have the ability to log into the page and actually begin your background check processes. Now, to go back to the DHS website, there's actually a step before you initiate a background check that you need to complete. And that is the state and federal criminal background check form. This link right here under starting the background check process. This form right here is what has to be completed and functions as your consent form. So this is, I've already filled this one out, but some of the fields got unpopulated, but we'll just pull it in. So you fill in your facility information. The main thing that is critically important here is the email field. This is the email that will receive the form once you click submit at the bottom. And again, you just have some generic information on who you're doing the background check for. And when you click submit form, you're going to get an email that looks like this. Ashlyn, can you see my email? I just want to make sure it's transitioning between programs. Okay.
Yep.
So you'll get an email saying, please find the attached background check request form, download, print, and take to a notary for signature. And that form looks like this once you open it with inside a PDF. So it's going to have all the information that you just completed already filled out. And then on the second page is where you have the notary information. So this is the part that has to be completed in the presence of a notary, as notaries typically require, as well as some information on the Privacy Act and some other information you can read through. So this form is required for every background check that you run. Now, the difference between this and actually running the background check is if for some reason you fail to receive this form in email, you can just go out and fill out another one and have it send the form again. We've seen problems with people who get the email delivered, but it goes to their junk mail. We've had people type in their email address incorrectly. But this system does not require a one-off. You can go in and key it again and get a new form anytime you need to. All right.
Hey, Justin, was this the point right here where you can show us how provider would add users to their account?
No, that's actually done under the subscription account over here. I don't have access to any subscription accounts, so that'll actually be a question that we need to have I&A answer for us. It is also covered in this document here. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Let me find this section. Yeah, so you create a subscriber account, you create the generic user here. And when you want to add another user, you just type in the information and click save, and it will basically just continue to populate into a grid right here, the number of users that you have access to.
Okay, and I see over there on the right-hand side where it says continue. So you would hit the continue button, and then it would pop up again, and I can add up to 10 and just keep hitting continue.
Well, you hit save here to add it to the grid and continue when you're done with this step, because this is a part of the original setup for creating the account, but you can also add users once you have the account set up. So there should be a very sorry, this thing's lagging, so apologize for it jumping around on you. But there should be a very similar window once you have your account created to go in and add users.
Okay, so Darla, hopefully that helps. And if not, you can always email Nora Fawcett. And I'm sorry, I was doing a lot of things. So in the chat box originally, I put the email addresses as .com, and I know better, it's .gov. So I'm going to re-enter you guys into the chat box right now. The correct addresses for Nora Fawcett and for Paige Cox. So Nora Fawcett is our program manager over the background check team. And so I will put her information in there. So Darla, if that doesn't make sense and it doesn't work the right way, then reach out to her. She'll be able to help you. Thank you, Justin.
You're welcome. All right, so we reviewed the form, which is required. So we'll come back to the form because we're required to upload it as a part of our background check request. So to go back to this page where you log in, this is the account you have to log into to run your checks. Now, of course, I don't have access to see those accounts. That's a NICAR system. So any questions related to your subscriber account or logging in to the background check system need to be addressed to NICAR. And their contact information is right here on the left. It says contact us. So if you have any issues, you can click this link on the left, and their contact information is right here at the bottom. Now, another thing I would like to point out here is this information right here at the top that says you may contact the Arkansas State Police Identification Bureau regarding the background check results. This does not apply to the Division of Child Care. The results are not provided to the provider. So this information is on a statewide system, but the Division of Child Care has a different setup due to CJIS rules that prevent the providers from seeing the actual results. And we'll go through a little bit of that in a minute. So this information, again, does not apply to you. If you have questions regarding your background check results or their statuses, you need to contact the Division of Child Care. So once you're logged in, you'll get a page that looks like this. This is the home page. I'm logged in as a child care test account that Felix with NICAR has set up for us. And from here is where you really get to the meat of this system. The search page is going to be the primary section where you actually key in a background check. We're going to come back to that in just a second. I'm going to go through the other tabs real quick. The pending tab is going to be anything that has not been processed at all. So it means that the Division of Child Care has not adjudicated anything on that record yet. You can see here that it shows the overall status is pending. We have one set is not approved and one for approved, just so you can see what those differences would look like. The history tab is where you can go to see, based on any of this search filters, say you wanted to look up a very specific record, you could put in the social and click search, and it will pull you back any record with that social. Now, this is a test account, so everybody uses all ones, but you can search on date range or any of the other filters that are listed here. So if you wanted to look at all the ones you did for calendar year 21, you could just put in 1/1/21 up to the current date, and it will pull you everything you've done year to date. If you know the last name of the person you're searching for, you can put that in as well. Or if you just want to see everything, you can just leave everything blank and hit search, and it'll pull back every record you've keyed into the system. So some key elements here I want to point out. On the left of each row, and these are alternating row colors, so white, gray, you have the search ID. Now, this is information we need if you have issues related to any of your requests that are not showing up correctly, or if the overall check is still provisional for weeks or months at a time for some reason. This is the information we use to look up that record to find out more. Now, you'll notice some similarities on the search ID with the transaction ID. The search ID is the last 7 digits of the transaction ID. Typically, your transaction IDs are prefixed by a 3-letter code and 2 zeros. So this search ID is mandatory for us to be able to troubleshoot any of the issues you have, or if you call into the Division of Child Care needing more information, this. One second.
Hey, Justin, I think there might be people waiting in the waiting room. Can you?
I just admitted them all.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
So again, the search ID is critical information that we need to be able to help you if you have any issues related to your background check requests. So more information on this row. It shows you who actually keyed the request, who the request is for, and any notes that were put in. It also shows you when it was requested and when it was completed, who it was run on, what their date of birth is, and the address that was put in for them. It also shows the price that you paid for, or what this will cost when you get invoiced, depending on how you run it. Now, another thing I want to point out here is the FBI status here is a bit misleading. So when it says FBI sent to Harvester, that all that means is that the transaction ID has been accessed. That means that someone went in to have their fingerprints done and the transaction ID was pulled up. It does not actually mean that it was actually sent to the FBI. So we've run into some issues with that status. We're working with NICAR to try and find out if there's any way we can make that a little more clear. But say you have an applicant that goes in, they pull up the transaction ID, but they're not able to validate their identity because they left their ID at home. So that once that transaction ID is accessed, it's going to show sent to Harvester, because the assumption is the system thinks that transaction has been used and will be sent to the Harvester. Now, FBI pending, I don't see any on here that I can show you for that. Basically means that transaction has not been accessed yet. And of course, FBI complete means the results have come back. And you should, once you have FBI complete, does not mean you will automatically get an overall check of approved or denied. There is an intermediary steps that occur here, not for child maltreatment, any out-of-state checks that have to be done, as well as the sex offender registry. So just because you see FBI complete here does not necessarily mean you will get a final overall status on that check. Let's just go back to my agenda one second. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the next step, which is actually this Zoom thing's in the way, is actually the search page. I thought I had one opened. Here we go. So I've already keyed in some information here. So the first step to starting a search is you can click the search tab or click begin a new search from your homepage. You're going to fill out any of the information here that's marked with an asterisk. That means the field is required. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind, it is absolutely critical that you copy the information from the driver's license accurately. The name has to match, the date of birth has to match, and the social has to match. If you show up to an appointment and the information on their photo ID does not match what is in the system, the DCO operators will turn away that applicant and be unable to print them at that time. So again, just make sure that the name, date of birth, and social security numbers match that information. So once you have all this information, this is where we go to upload a copy of the consent form that we just previously generated. So we'll navigate over to that real quick. I've got a copy somewhere. We'll just upload this for now. And for CHI, for childcare, you're only going to have one option. CHW will have a state or a state and FBI option, but for childcare, just the one radio button. You'll click search FBI and state, and this will populate a new section to the form with the FBI information. So this information, again, a few asterisks, which means you have to fill them out if you know them, if you have the information. Of course, if you have their driver's license, most of this information is listed there. So we'll just fill some of this out real quick. And any of the information without the asterisk is optional. So if you have this information, great. If not, you can just go on to step 2. Now, a good rule of thumb is to go ahead and review the information here, make sure it is all correct. Once this information is complete, you can click step 2 at the bottom. This takes you to a confirmation page, which is your final attempt to review the information and ensure its accuracy. You'll notice some text down here at the bottom that was put here at the request of the Arkansas State Police. Please review and confirm search information before submitting. No refunds will be provided for incorrect data entry or incorrect selection of data submitted. We've had a significant influx of requests for people requesting refunds due to them typing the information incorrectly. And due to that, the ASP has made the determination that they will no longer be doing refunds for those mistakes, which means you will be required to put in a brand new record check request to get the person to be able to get their background check done. So once you've confirmed that all this information is correct, you click submit search. Let me take a quick screenshot here. Once you click submit search, it's going to process for just a minute and take us to one of 2 pages. And I'll explain that once this page loads. Okay, so this page you see here is basically the research page. Because we put in test data, the system was not able to find an exact match for this name, date of birth, and social. So if you will not always see this page. This only comes up if there's information that you provided that means there's not an exact match in the Arkansas system to find the person that you're trying to do a request on. So this is an extra information that Arkansas State Police uses to try and identify the record accurately and match it to the person you're trying to do the request on. So if you have this information, fill it out. If not, you can just click submit information. And this is the page that you will typically see if you have a direct match in the Arkansas State Police system. And this page is also critically important. I recommend that you print this page off and put it with the record request, the consent form that you keep in your files, because this information right here is the transaction ID that is required for them to put in the scheduling tool, which we'll get to in the next step. This is also the information that's required, either the search ID or the transaction ID. We can use either to troubleshoot any issues that you have with your background check requests. So again, I would print this page out, put it with your files, and then you can click start a new search if you have multiple to do at one time. But once you have this information, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to take it over to the scheduling tool. Now I'm going to pause here for any questions that are pending related to this part of the system before we move on.
Okay, there is, I think, Justin, I've been trying to answer them as we go.
Okay.
And Belinda, I'm not sure I understand. The question is, what is the consent form got on late?
So the consent form is...
Oh, I see it now. I was reading that like one big sentence. I see.
So, yeah, the consent form is the form that's filled out that is required to have a notary signature on it. And it's basically just a request for background check, giving us permission to run a background check on that person. And just to go over that again real quickly, once you fill this form out, you'll get an email that looks like this, basically saying, here's your form, please download and take to a notary. And it looks like this. Let me scroll all the way up. Has all the information you provided on that form. It's basically an electronic copy of what you previously had to manually fill out.
Okay, I think that I've gotten the other questions as we've gone. Just
Okay. All right, if that's the case, I'm going to show you these tabs one more time just to show you that once you've put in the request, you can see that I submitted this at 12:26 today for Jack Frost.
Hey, I think maybe you need to make your screen bigger, maybe, or maybe it's on my end.
Try to scroll in some. And this has the search ID in it. So you can always see which request you've keyed by going to the pending tab. Now, once they've been adjudicated, they're going to disappear from here and go to the history tab. Okay, so let me get over to the scheduling tool. So this is the scheduling tool that DHS uses to schedule appointments at our DCO county offices. Appointments are required just to be sure that we have staff available to do the fingerprint. So once you come to this page, and again, this information is all on the DHS website, you can go here to schedule a fingerprint and it'll have the link to the web page. Oh, wrong link. So when you're ready to make an appointment, you can click make appointment here. You'll click on fingerprinting. That's what we're trying to make an appointment for. And then you'll put in typically your city or even your county name, and it will pull back all the available locations. You'll select the one that you want to use. And then a little calendar is going to pop up. Now, one thing you'll notice is we already can't schedule for today. That one is blocked off. Now, the reason for that is we don't allow you to schedule for the next coming 4 hours. And this is to make sure that our DCO staff are able to prepare and ensure that we have people on site to do those appointments. So any of the times that you see grayed out, like this section here from 9:40 to 11, are not available for appointment. Typically, you'll see 12 to 1 grayed out just for the lunch hour. But any of these darker grays that have the blue clock and have the underline when you hover over it are clickable, and you can use those to schedule an appointment. I'm going to go out till next Friday just so they don't actually think we're getting one tomorrow. You click on the time you want, and then we're going to put in the name of the applicant that you're going to be doing the check on. You're going to put in the email address of the person that is getting the request. So this is one thing you may notice is that you're not able to put in more than one person with the same email address. And this is to make sure that we don't have spam coming in, people just robots basically signing up for appointments and causing issues with our system. So the phone number you put in here, it can be a cell phone. If you do choose to do a cell phone, you can check this box to receive your confirmation via text so that you have the information with you. And then here's where we're going to put in the same transaction ID that we generated in the background check system. Once you click submit, it's going to take you to a confirmation page saying that your appointment is scheduled. It gives you the location with the address, the date and time you're scheduled to arrive, as well as what's required. It says you must present valid government issued photo ID. Now this is required so we can validate the identity of the person we're doing a background check on. And that's a CGIS requirement. We have to validate who we're actually fingerprinting at the time we do the fingerprints. And at the bottom of the page, it shows you the person who is coming in for the appointment. So one of the misleading information here is this confirmation number. This number is only used for the scheduling tool. This number is not used anywhere else, and it is not an important number, even though it's in red. All this does is allow us to look up your appointment if you have issues with the scheduling tool. So don't get this confused with your transaction ID or search ID. These are not related. So let me go back to my email. Once you've scheduled the appointment, you're going to get an email that looks like this, telling you, here's your confirmation number, which again is unimportant. Here's the search ID that was keyed in for that, as well as, again, where you're going, the address of the location, the date and time you're expected to show up, as well as a URL. Now, this URL is going to be important if you need to change your appointment for any reason. You can click on this link and it will take you to a page that allows you to cancel the appointment, change your location, or change the date and time that you want to have it saved for. So again, that just comes through email. You can keep track of those however you like, but if you need to, you can go and cancel those.
Hey, Justin, Stacy made over in the chat box a great point. So she says, so when you're using the scheduling tool, the person's email address needs to be the person getting the fingerprint. That's right. So the email address you want to put in here. So if you're the person in charge of like getting all the background checks completed and you're filling out this information, she is spot on. The email address you want to put in here is the email address of the person, because that's where all the notifications will go.
Correct. Now we are working with NICAR to add a secondary email box that will allow you to put your HR email so you get a copy of that, but that's still in development. But we are working on that to make it a little easier for your HR staff. So that's pretty much it. So from here, once they go in to get their fingerprints done, you should be able to monitor. Let me get back to the right tab. You should be able to monitor your history tab for the status of the checks that are coming in. And once the fingerprints are gathered, we transmit them. State results usually come back within 24 hours. FBI usually within 3 business days, 3 to 5. And maltreatment around that same amount of time, I believe. So if you have questions, again, related to your background check result status, please contact the Division of Child Care. If you have questions regarding your subscription account or issues with adding users, that will go back to the contact us page for NICAR, which is going to be this information at the bottom. And then just for those who joined a bit late, just to make sure you're aware, this information here at the top where it says contact the Arkansas State Police regarding your background check results, that does not apply to the Division of Child Care facilities. Those facilities are not able to see the actual results and can only see the result status that is provided.
Yeah. I was trying to catch the questions and I might have missed. Oh, here's one, Justin, that I wasn't sure about myself. It's one of our providers has a situation where there's someone in her home that needs to be fingerprinted but doesn't have a driver's license. So is that an ID number, like an identification card number that they would need, or how would they go about? Go ahead.
So they can use a state issued photo ID. So if they don't have a driver's license, they can still use a state issued ID as long as it has a photo on it.
Okay. Let's see here. Look and see if I missed any others. So one of the questions is, if we see that it's taking a long time and not being approved, how do we find out exactly what is wrong so that we can correct immediately? Okay, so you guys, if you have any that's more than, I would say, a couple of weeks old, then go ahead and email Nora. So I want to talk to you about that again, just so you kind of know. So Nora Fawcett is our program manager over our background check unit, and I threw her email address is in the chat box, but it's nora.fawcett@dhs.arkansas.gov. And if you're still concerned about it, then Paige Cox is the program administrator over that particular team and others. So that's paige.cox@dhs.arkansas.gov. And if you're still having concerns about it, you can always email me. And you can email me at any time for any reason regarding licensing. And mine is ashlyn.abney@dhs.arkansas.gov. Those are all in the chat box for you to see. The other thing that I want to mention to you, somebody else, it might have been a direct message just to me, but there are recordings and trainings already out on our website. So, Becky, if you can put that link out on the chat box for me, please, while I'm talking. And if I see you don't, then I can get it in just a second, you guys. But already out on our website, there are videos where some of you might have been on there. Kevin Grace and Justin Foster, Justin that's with us today, walked through and showed it again. I would suggest that you do it, that like go back and look at those again, look at the recording of this one. We'll put it in the same place. But if you guys are anything like me and there's a new system, I have to see it multiple times. Like it might have moved a little fast for you today, but you can go back and watch the recordings, and then, you know, you can start and stop it as you're looking over into the NICAR system. It's what I still do today, to this day. I'll go back and look at something, and then I'll stop it and go into the NICAR system. It's a lot to learn. So please don't get frustrated with it. We'll all get there. Once we get in there and just start using it frequently, then it'll become like second nature to you. I also want to remind you that we're doing this multiple times. So there'll be another one in April, another one in May, another one in June. So come to all of them if you want, in addition to looking at the videos that are already out there. But if you ever get stuck, so Nora can help you, or somebody on her team. So you might email Nora and Brenda might respond to you, but somebody will get back with you, or Paige or myself. Anything about licensing, you can email me and I'll either answer your questions or I'll get you in the right place. So hopefully that will help out a little bit. I'm just going to look over at these questions again. And then Justin, if you think I've missed some, you jump in there too. I see about it being, will it be recorded? And yes, it is recorded, and it'll be up on the website for you. Wanda, I'm not sure. It says you tried to email me and you got a message that you were blocked. So my name's a little weird, and so sometimes people spell my name wrong. So I would just say to you, double check. Make sure you're spelling my name right, but you shouldn't be blocked from me. I will put my email, or let me just give it to you guys. Here's my phone number. If you ever need to just call and talk with me, I'm glad to do that as well. It's easier. I'm just telling you guys, it's easier to catch me by email because I can respond late at night, but also you can give me a call anytime. If I don't answer, I'll get back with you. Ready? Here we go. 501-320-8911. That's my direct line phone number. So it's 501-320-8911. So Wanda, try to email me again because I'm curious about that. But give me a call if you need to. Let's see, I've signed up for a background check account, but I did not receive an email with a password to get in. What should I do? Okay, so for any questions about NICAR, you can, I'm looking right here because I used to have a Post-it note with the information, and I think I still do, and I'll give you their contact number. But any of the subscription questions like that, like you can't get in or you never heard back from them or anything along that line.
I'll put it up on the screen for you, Ashlyn.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I was just about to read it out, but you guys, Justin just threw it right up there for us. So look right there. There's a phone number that you can call, a contact phone number you can call, and also an email address. So those would be the guys that would help you with the subscription. That's really outside of our team. We wouldn't, you won't get too far emailing here. We would just send you there. So it probably would be best just to go ahead and give those guys a call. I hear that they're very helpful. I know the couple of times that I've called to ask for help, they were very, very helpful. Okay, thank you, Becky. So you guys, over in the chat box, Becky has entered the YouTube video tutorial on this. So I don't know if you want to grab that and copy and paste it over into your favorites, but thank you, Becky, for putting that link up there. Next one, is there a list of mistakes made that require having to pay again to resubmit? I don't think that we have a list of mistakes, Sharon. The most common one that I know of, and then Justin, you chime in, but what I see on my end anyway, date of birth entered incorrectly because we get going fast. And people will put this year, you know, it's like my birthday is April 10 of 67. So there you go. But people will enter April 10, 2021, just because they get going fast. So always check that date of birth. The other one that I see a lot is no consent form entered. And so that throws off things. But addresses being entered incorrectly, I would say anything along that line. But they did inform us, NICAR did inform us that they were stopping that, you know, not having to pay again. So now you do. So it's just really important. I would say just slow down. Just make sure you slow down and you're double checking. And then it does have the, like Justin said, it does have that verification screen. So even if you've written information into the form incorrectly, you'll get a second opportunity because it'll pop up and it'll say, are you sure that this information is right? So just make sure that you're looking at that.
Yes.
Who do you, oh,
Real quick, Ashlyn, sorry.
yeah.
The only real thing that'll cause you to have to pay again is data entry errors. Anything else, we can reuse that existing transaction. So if you have someone show up, the system goes down after they pulled up their transaction ID, they forgot their ID, whatever reason, as long as the data in the system is accurate, we can reset that transaction ID to be used again. So if they have to reschedule for whatever reason, or we have to have them come back due to something on our end, that transaction ID can be reset by our DCO staff via a call over to the NICAR help desk and have that transaction reset to be reused again.
Right. So thank you for reminding me and pointing that out, Justin. It's when we enter things wrong, like a date of birth, an address, or
Right.
those type of things. Right. Thank you for that. The out of state background check results. Okay, so what should happen there, Jennifer, is you guys can request it from the state for, like, let's say Texas as an example, but Texas would need to send the results directly to Nora and her team. So if you've got some out of state background check results yourself, go ahead and call Nora or email Nora about that, and you guys talk that through. Because our federal partners have told us, in order for us to accept out of state background checks, it has to come straight from the state, the out of state, into our team. Okay. Sheena, okay, so you guys, I do not have a PDR number, so how do I get credit for today? I believe if you will email Paige, first and most important thing, make sure you get a PDR number, but email Paige Cox and ask her that question. I believe that Becky is capturing who is on here and their PDR numbers, so we'll try to work with you on that one. Okay, how do we get invoiced for the $150 fee? So the NICAR, so when you pay, Justin, check me on this, but when you guys pay, you will be automatically invoiced by NICAR. So it will come to you in the email account that you set up when you set up your subscription account.
Correct.
Let's see, I'm just going down through here. So Sharon, so how do I contact the NICAR? It's right still on the screen down there at the bottom of the screen. Justin's pulled that up for us. There's a phone number there and the email address.
So real quick for Sharon, I think she's asking how to reset a fingerprint appointment, if I'm understanding correctly. So I'll pull that back up real quick. When you schedule a fingerprint, you're going to get an email that looks like this. And in this email, it's going to have a link to go back and edit the fingerprint appointment. So you can change the location, the date and time, or cancel it. So this is where you would go to make those edits.
Okay. So on the out-of-state background checks, you guys go ahead and call Nora or email Nora about that. Maybe something has changed in that, but the last that I knew, we were still under, excuse me, we were still under the results having to come straight from the state into our team, and that you guys, the why behind that was so that the fidelity of the information was fully in check, meaning that there's no way, not that we would expect anyone to alter a background check, but it is the way to document and confirm that the information came from state to state and that none of the information was altered or changed. So reach out to Nora and her team. You guys double check me on that, just to make sure on the outside chance that something hasn't already changed on that. But I think that I'm correct. Okay. For appointment email, you don't get to do you. The person getting fingerprint receives the email, so they would have to do it, not you. Okay. Yeah, it is really, so like in some cases, you guys, the directors will have the employee come into the office and the director will fill out the information, including the scheduling tool for the person. And so that is okay. What we're saying though is, and the applicant themselves can fill out this information for the scheduling tool. If the director or somebody else helps the person fill it out, it needs to be the person, the applicant's email address, because the scheduling tool is going to send all the information, like if the appointment got changed, for example, during the snow event that we just had, people had scheduled fingerprint appointments. And so the scheduling tool, whenever there's something going on that fingerprint appointment cannot be made, then the system will automatically generate an email to let whoever the email address is, that's where the information will say, hey, your appointment has been canceled. So that's the importance of entering the email address of the person that's getting fingerprinted. Good point. Okay. Who makes the edits though for the fingerprint appointment to reschedule? The person getting them done themselves? Okay. Again, it is, there's different facilities handle that different ways, you guys. What I've known and seen and the feedback I've gotten is most of the time the providers are putting that responsibility on the applicant themselves. So if that is the decision that your particular facility has made, then to reschedule, I would say just follow your same protocol and have the applicant set it up themselves. If you are a facility though that has taken on the responsibility of helping or filling out that information for the applicant, then you would be responsible for rescheduling. Okay, what document do we receive when background check was approved for our records? Okay, so this is where you will go into the system, into your NICAR system subscription, and you will see that overall approved. That's what you're looking for. Now, I think I understand the question, and different facilities are handling in this different ways, you guys, in that sometimes the facility is printing off thank you, Justin, what Justin is showing us. The facility will print that off in a paper file, and they will have that available for a licensing specialist to review. Some facilities are keeping an electronic copy, meaning they will do a snippet, take a picture of the screen that Justin has up, and they will store it in a separate electronic file. That is fine as well. However you want to do it is fine. The bottom line is you just need to be able to produce the information to a licensing specialist when they come in to check to make sure that all of the checks are cleared. So we are now we are doing child maltreatment and background checks annually. So no, the rule is that the child maltreatment is done every 2 years. The background checks are done every 5 years. Let's see, how do we get in touch with Nora? So it is nora.fawcett. Becky, if you don't mind typing that in again, but it's nora.fawcett@dhs.arkansas.gov. And Becky, if you wouldn't mind putting a phone number in there as well. Okay, so let me make sure we're all on the same page. Child maltreatment is handled by the Division of Children and Family Services, or DCFS. And so they, what happens is they will process your background check for child maltreatment, and then our team will access that information and look to see if you've been cleared on the maltreatment side. Once you've been cleared on the maltreatment side, then Nora's team can go in on the NICAR side and give you that overall approved status. And so you're looking for it all in the same place, you guys. I also believe that DCFS sends to the providers information from their central registry that says this employee or applicant has been cleared from the child maltreatment. But what you're waiting on is for an overall approved status from the Division of Child Care and Early Childhood Education. Okay. Okay, you guys, there's another question about out of state. And so I'm just, the last I knew, a state to a state. So I just want you all, anybody that's got a question about out of state background checks, send that to Nora. If you don't get an answer and you still have a question, then email it to me, all right? And let me do some checking on it to make sure that I have the most updated information. All right, and I think we're at the bottom of the list, you guys. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. We know that you guys are super, super busy at the facilities taking care of the children, and we appreciate you so much for the work that you do. It is a lot of work and it is difficult work at times, but you all are doing it beautifully during the pandemic and keeping everything going that you need to. So we appreciate you so very much. Remember that the information for background checks is all on the website. So it's in written form, step by step. There's also training videos out there that you can see. And again, we will have multiple of these. So come back the next time and the next time and the next time, because it's a lot to learn. And the more times you can see it and work with it, the easier it will get. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Justin, thank you, sir, for your time as well. We appreciate you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye, you all.